going to share this website with you. It is a service. It's at cjane.org. Provides a service, and it's called Spellcheck for Bias.
Oh.
What is Spellcheck for Bias? Well, let me look at the website. It's actually, we'll put the link in the description of this episode and the clip. Gina Davis is involved with this organization.
And
well,
it's her institute, so of course she is.
Right, it's the Gina Davis Institute. I didn't know that existed. On Gina Davis Institute on Gender in Media, and in quotes, and it's also, by the way, this phrase is trademarked, if she can see it, she can be it. It's a website where you can get involved, you can become a member. There's a toolkit, but here's their rule. Spellcheck for Bias. Our innovative script analysis system to infuse diversity and inclusion in entertainment and media, where every story must begin on the page. And there are a bunch of other organizations that support this. I'm just going to accept their cookies because whatever. But here we go. There's a short video which we can play. But the Spellcheck for Bias provides analysis of pre-production scripts with the purpose of identifying opportunities for greater representation of marginalized communities within 6 major identities: gender, race, LGBTQIA+, identity, disability, age, and body type. This is the so-called, you could call this the Sweet Baby Inc. for movies, as well as identification of biases, tropes, and stereotypes, representation issues, harmful language, and potential cultural inaccuracies. The Spellcheck for Bias team uses a text. Okay, this is what they use: a text analysis tool to identify character prominence. Oh, you got to hear this. To identify character prominence and social science research to inform the in-depth analysis. This is what Dakota Johnson was talking about in that thing that Dante put out on Verbal Riot Show. Follow him.
The script's written by committee, basically. This is a script written by a gender anti-bias AI, so to speak.
Yeah, let me finish reading this. Then we're going to watch this short video. It's about a minute and a half. The team also collaborates with the University of Southern California's Signal Analysis and Interpretation Lab, the acronym is SAIL, to create a who speaks to whom chart that relies on machine learning to produce the frequency and rate at which major characters are speaking to each other. Central to the ethos of Spellcheck is respecting the artistic integrity of creative work, while also increasing knowledge and engaging in informed, explorative collaboration or inclusion and equity. Let me just say this. This is everything that Dakota Johnson was talking about. This is AI. This is something that no Quentin Tarantino movie or Kevin Smith movie, for that matter, would survive this process. This is the machine AI version of the sensitivity read. And here we go. I'll finish up here. What if a film's potential for on-screen diversity and equity and inclusion could be identified where every film or television show begins? The script. And then it says to learn more, and then you can go to cjane.org. There's a short video here that explains it. At the risk of getting a copyright strike, we're going to watch it.
Just if there's music behind it, just be careful.
Right. We're going to look at this, and then we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about everything we talked about on the back end with your comments. Before we play this video, Alan, what are your thoughts on this?
Good stories used to start with an idea. You can't start a story that way anymore. You've got to think about the big picture of who your characters are. Everything that this represents, it does nothing but stifle creativity. And that's the direction Hollywood is headed down right now.
You are 100% correct, Alan. Yeah. And we're going to watch this
video. Play the damn video.
It's 80 seconds, a minute and 21 seconds. Let's play this video. I'm going to have to mute myself. I will make it full screen. Thank you for your patience. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants today because I got no Alan in the background. I got no Alan. So here we go. All right, I'm gonna have to start it and then mute myself here. I'm gonna mute myself. All right. Just a second.
The suspense is killing.
When you're
Okay, hold on. What are you doing?
describing a crowd scene in the script, you have to write a crowd gathers, comma, which is half female.
For the past 7 years, the Gina Davis Institute has broken ground with its machine learning analysis of bias in film and television. But what if the potential for representation on screen could be identified first on the page? With the GDIQ's Spellcheck for Bias, powered by patented AI text analysis technology developed at the University of Southern California, a script can be analyzed for representation of characters and percentage of dialogue by gender, race, LGBTQIA, and disabilities, percentage of non-gender identified speaking characters, highlighting opportunities for more balanced representation, and so much more. An intervention tool to infuse diversity and inclusion in entertainment and media, where every story must begin.
Oh my god. By the way, if you're sending your kid to USC, there you go. That's where your money's going.
Okay. It's exactly what we thought. This is the Sweet Baby Gang AI tool for movies. And no Christopher Nolan movie, Kevin Smith movie, Denis Villeneuve movie, Tarantino, none of them would survive this tool. And this is University of Southern California, a school I actually had interest in attending when I was a kid. All of this can be found at cjane.org.
Let's be fair. It was a good school when you were a kid.
Yeah. Well, now I think that almost going to college at this stage is kind of a, it's not the pathway.
Yeah.
It's not the pathway toward getting the thing that you're seeking.
Well, I'll say this. It's not worth the money you're about to invest in it.
Right.
Or go in debt for.
Right. But look, what is so amazing about art, in particular when it comes to film, are imperfections. This is trying to make some utopian world where, you saw in the beginning of the video where it said, and half the crowd is female, and whatever, these are choices a director makes also. But it's so bizarre that this now must be forced upon screenplays in their early stages. I think what this has the danger of doing is gentrifying all art, because art can be messy, and art can, it's the imperfections that make it so unique because it comes from a human being, right? This is why, for the most part, most movies that we review, they don't get a 10 out of 10. But, God, anything above an 8 is pretty spectacular, But this is just, I'm just kind of shocked that these tools have been right under our nose this whole time. They've been right under our nose the whole time. Now, who is suggesting that people use this? And the fact that they turned it into an AI tool in the script stage is nuts.
I was going to say who. It's this non-binary person in the background here.
Well, it's always like a weird person. I notice this in every commercial now, is if you are a light-skinned brown person, prepare to constantly work in commercials, because it's like, well, we don't want to go with a white person. We don't want to go with maybe someone who's so darker skinned. So we're going to go this direction, which is the sort of middling, ethnically ambiguous person. It's the height of gentrification. It's
like telling an artist, a painter, to say, paint me a beautiful picture, but here are the colors you can use. And they go, well, why can't I use this other color? Well, people have been using that color so much in the past that you can't use that color anymore. So you've got to use these colors. And now what all you're doing now is taking an artist, a future artist, and giving them limitations and saying, this is what you can do and this is what you can't do. And that realm of what you can't do is getting larger and larger by the minute.
This is yet another guardrail on creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this is not a positive step.
Mm-hmm.
This is dystopian. This is Orwellian, and this is, look, I guess, a product of our time. I think it's just bad ideas, and it's not going to result in any sort of great art, but something that's completely gentrified, or something that you would probably watch on
Mm-hmm.
CBS, which was a TV channel back in the day.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's not like you're making the choice to do it. The choice is being forced upon you. So if you're creative, you are you cannot think 100% independently for yourself. Someone has to come in, some consultant, some government agent has to come in and tell you how you can think and how you can do your art, which is completely the opposite definition of what art is. It is an expression of a singular person. And that was what Dakota Johnson was saying, is that, or what the implication I got was the fact that the best stories being told are the ones where there's one author involved, maybe two. And the worst stories are the ones that are run by a giant committee full of just rules and regulations as to how you can tell your story. And that's why, why Christopher Nolan has earned that right to be able to tell his story his way, and the studio will back off from it and not tell him that he doesn't have enough people of color in Oppenheimer. But the problem is if you want to get into that system, now you're forced to play by those rules. And so the idea that a Christopher Nolan can come along, a new Christopher Nolan or Quentin Tarantino can come along is, I mean, they're dead. They're no longer allowed in Hollywood anymore.
I think a lot of this is we are discovering that this is much more prominent than we initially realized. And all of this has been right in plain sight for years.
Mm-hmm.
And my concern, as someone who's a lifelong fan of cinema, it's my first love is movies. I also love to read books, but I'm a cinema guy first. And the fact that these types of rules would be imposed upon film now it's offensive to me.
Well, you know what it is? I mean, a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, if we were talking like this and saying that there were rules and there were this and there were that, we would be labeled conspiracy theorists.
Yes.
What's happening now is it's being exposed that it is there and that it does exist. And and this is kind of the theme of the next D-Files, is the fact that what we thought was always there was really there, and now it's all out in the open.
See, that's the difference. It was always there. We never saw it.
And we were accused of being conspiracy theorists when we mentioned it.
Well, I don't think we were accused. It's just we've discovered that this stuff is really prominent.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that was the thing we talked yesterday about Az's rant, because the thing that the criticism of him was that he was just this is just one instance of it. So can't you just handle this one time? When he was really saying, no, this is not one time. This is in everything. Everything he sees, everything he plays, there's some element of this. And now with Sweet Baby Inc., we realize that he was right, that it was always there, that there was always an element of there, and that there was an organization paid to put it there.